Some cars play by the rules. Others quietly rewrite them. Every now and then, a machine emerges that bends logic, turning engineering into personality and performance into philosophy. It may not roar the loudest or wear the flashiest badge, yet it captures the minds of drivers who believe intelligence is the highest form of speed. The story ahead traces one such icon, a machine that refused to fit the mold and instead built its own. It is about a car that combined brainpower with boost and attitude with aerodynamics to create something no one saw coming. For enthusiasts who appreciate the intersection of function, rebellion, and innovation, this journey reveals how one unlikely performer changed the conversation on what a fast car could mean. Like the video, subscribe for more stories that celebrate automotive ingenuity, and tell us in the comments which model you want to see next. In 1987, the Saab 900 Turbo arrived at the intersection of intelligence and instinct. A car born from an aircraft maker's obsession with precision and an engineer's defiance of convention. The Saab 900 Turbo was never meant to be a status symbol. It was a thinking person's performance car, designed for those who valued purpose over polish. Every curve and contour of its body had logic behind it. The steep windshield, the wraparound cockpit, the upright stance, all borrowed from aviation ergonomics and aerodynamic sensibility. Saab engineers approached car design the same way they approached fighter jets. Prioritize visibility, control, and safety before style. Yet somehow, that functional honesty gave the 900 Turbo a personality stronger than its flashier rivals. At its core, the 900 Turbo represented a question. Could intellect outshine brute power in a decade ruled by excess? The late 1980s were a golden age of performance, but it was also an era of indulgence. Cars from Italy, Germany, and America competed to make the loudest statements through displacement and extravagance. Saab took the opposite route. The company wanted to show that Scandinavian restraint could coexist with high performance. The 900 Turbo's modest 2.0-liter four-cylinder engine looked underwhelming on paper, but it hid a secret weapon. A meticulously tuned turbocharger system that delivered controlled power rather than chaotic surges. Where other manufacturers bolted on turbos for brute force, Saab treated turbocharging as a discipline. Engineers developed a sophisticated boost control system that made power delivery smooth, linear, and responsive, redefining the perception of turbo lag. Inside, the Saab 900 Turbo spoke to drivers like few cars could. Its cockpit was not an aesthetic flourish. It was a control center. The wraparound dashboard curved toward the driver, placing every switch and gauge within easy reach. The ignition key was mounted on the center console between the seats, not the steering column, to prevent knee injuries in an accident. It was a detail rooted in the brand's safety-first mentality, but it also added to the car's sense of difference. The seats were ergonomically sculpted for long-distance comfort, reflecting Saab's Swedish understanding of climate and fatigue. Every design decision served function first. Beauty emerged as a byproduct of purpose. Driving the Saab 900 Turbo was an experience unlike its peers. The steering felt weighty yet communicative. The front-wheel drive layout, unusual for a performance car of its time, gave it exceptional grip in poor weather. While most sports cars struggled in snow or rain, the 900 Turbo thrived. Its chassis balance, tuned for stability rather than drama, allowed confident driving in conditions that sidelined rear-drive rivals. Saab drivers often described their cars as extensions of their own reasoning, not their ego. The 900 Turbo encouraged precision, not recklessness. It rewarded anticipation, not aggression. It was a car that rewarded patience and intellect with understated speed. The 1987 model in particular marked a refinement of everything Saab had learned from its earlier turbo experiments. Power output reached new efficiency levels, but the car still maintained Saab's signature durability. The engineers reworked the gearbox to handle torque without compromising longevity, a common weakness in earlier turbo cars from other manufacturers. The result was a machine that could outlast trends and survive punishing Scandinavian winters with ease. That reliability helped the 900 Turbo gain a devoted following among professionals and enthusiasts who wanted something fast but trustworthy. But beyond engineering, there was emotion. An understated rebellion woven into the Saab 900 Turbo's DNA. In an era obsessed with image, the Saab driver signaled independence. They were the architects, designers, and thinkers who saw beauty in logic and power in efficiency. The car's angular lines and high belt line suggested both confidence and humility. It was a design language that aged gracefully, unlike many of its flashier contemporaries. The 900 Turbo did not scream for attention. It invited inspection. Saab's marketing of the 900 Turbo leaned into that contrarian identity. Ads presented it not as a status symbol, but as a machine for individuals who rejected trends. The brand's aircraft heritage became part of its mystique, and even casual observers could sense that the 900 Turbo was engineered differently. The message resonated with a certain type of driver, one who preferred problem-solving to posing. Owning a Saab 900 Turbo became a quiet statement. You didn't need to flaunt intelligence when you could drive it. As the model matured, so did its myth. Journalists began to recognize the Saab 900 Turbo as more than a quirky European import. They noted its composure at speed, its ergonomic genius, and its ability to cover long distances without fatigue. In comparison tests, the 900 Turbo often puzzled reviewers. Its performance numbers didn't always dominate, but its driving experience earned deep respect. It was the kind of car that transcended charts. Once behind the wheel, skeptics found themselves converted by its logic and character. By 1987, Saab had fine-tuned its formula to near perfection. The 900 Turbo's blend of refinement and rawness hit a balance rarely achieved. The model's intelligent boost control system, a pioneering piece of software-based engineering, gave it a sense of awareness previously unseen in production cars. It managed boost pressure dynamically, preventing mechanical strain and ensuring consistent performance. In essence, the 900 Turbo had a brain as much as a heart. That was its defining edge, a car that thought through every burst of speed. For a brand often dismissed as niche, this was a quiet revolution. The Saab 900 Turbo proved that innovation could come from a small corner of Sweden, challenging the might of far larger automakers. Its existence forced the industry to reconsider what performance could mean in a rapidly changing world. The 1980s demanded spectacle, but Saab answered with substance. And in that contrast lay the beginning of its legend. By the end of the decade, the 900 Turbo had not only secured its place in the performance conversation, but also carved out a cultural identity. It stood as a symbol of integrity in design, proof that a car could be fast, safe, and thoughtful all at once. The 1987 Saab 900 Turbo represented the moment when engineering maturity met creative rebellion. When logic itself became beautiful, the world was beginning to notice, and those who understood it saw not just a machine, but a philosophy on wheels. The Saab 900 Turbo of 1987 carried forward a lineage of experimentation, but this model year marked something deeper. A maturation of Saab's philosophy that performance could serve intellect. To understand what made it so unique, one must consider the company's engineering culture at the time. Saab's design process did not start with market trends or racing aspirations. It began with practical questions. How can a car maintain stability at high speeds on icy Scandinavian roads? How can turbo power be predictable enough for everyday use yet thrilling when called upon? These questions shaped the 900 Turbo's mechanical soul, producing a car that felt unlike anything else on the road. The key to the Saab 900 Turbo's character lay in its powertrain. The 2.0-liter turbocharged engine was not merely about output, it was about control. Saab engineers treated the turbocharger as a precision instrument rather than a brute force booster. Early turbo systems from other manufacturers often suffered from abrupt power surges, making them exciting but difficult to manage. Saab's innovation was to smooth that rush, creating a curve of power that built progressively. The driver could sense the boost rising through the tachometer, but it arrived with refinement rather than shock. The 1987 version's intelligent boost control, paired with a robust intercooling system, allowed the car to adjust to altitude and temperature variations, a feature ahead of its time. This nuanced approach gave the Saab 900 Turbo a unique personality on the road. It was quick, but its acceleration had grace. It was powerful, but it never felt temperamental. Drivers could rely on it through long commutes or spirited drives alike. In Scandinavian winters, the front-wheel drive setup made the 900 Turbo a dependable ally. While competitors struggled for traction, the Saab carved confidently through snow and rain. The combination of traction, torque, and visibility made it one of the safest performance cars of its generation. In that sense, its greatest performance statistic was not raw speed, but the confidence it inspired. Saab's engineers also cared deeply about mechanical longevity. Unlike many high-strung performance engines, the 900 Turbo's motor was built to last. Reinforced pistons, improved cooling, and an overbuilt crankshaft allowed it to handle sustained boost without fatigue. The gearbox was similarly fortified, refined for torque delivery that felt deliberate rather than explosive. Maintenance-minded features such as easy access to filters and clearly labeled components reflected Saab's view that owners should understand their cars, not fear them. This attitude built loyalty. Many 900 Turbos stayed in families for decades, a rarity among performance models known for fragility. Yet perhaps the most fascinating part of the Saab 900 Turbo story was how its design expressed logic as beauty. The 900 silhouette, with its long hood and steeply raked windshield, wasn't shaped for vanity. It was the result of careful wind tunnel testing, focused on stability and efficiency rather than drama. The car's front end channeled air cleanly to reduce lift at high speed. Its tail tapered in a way that minimized turbulence. Even the door handles, recessed into the body, had aerodynamic justification. Saab's designers saw elegance in reduction. By removing the unnecessary, they created a form that was simultaneously utilitarian and distinctive. Inside, the 900 Turbo reinforced this philosophy. The cockpit-style layout was not an affectation. It was a practical response to human ergonomics. The driver sat slightly higher than in most sports sedans, giving a commanding view of the road. The gauges clustered tightly around the steering column, angled toward the driver's eyes. Every switch, every dial was placed after study and testing. Saab's research into human factors, inherited from its aerospace division, made the 900 Turbo's interior a model of intuitive design. Even the dashboard lighting, softly green, was chosen to reduce eye strain during night driving. These subtle decisions turned the act of driving into a coordinated, almost meditative experience. Despite all that rationality, the Saab 900 Turbo never felt cold. There was warmth in the way it responded, a kind of mechanical empathy. The engine note carried a low, turbine-like hum that reminded drivers of its aviation roots. The clutch engagement was firm but forgiving. The gearshift had a deliberate, mechanical rhythm. Together, these sensations made the 900 Turbo feel alive. Not because it was aggressive, but because it was communicative. It was as if the car was always reasoning alongside you. The 1987 version also brought incremental refinements that showcased Saab's relentless pursuit of betterment. Engineers tweaked the suspension geometry to improve steering feedback while preserving ride comfort. The braking system was upgraded for better heat resistance. Even the air conditioning received attention, improving climate control efficiency. These were not headline-grabbing changes, but they embodied the brand's belief that excellence was achieved through refinement, not revolution. It was evolution through intelligence. Culturally, the Saab 900 Turbo attracted a very specific audience. It became the car of architects, academics, and creative professionals who saw themselves in its values. It stood for independence and integrity, signaling intellect rather than affluence. In cities from Boston to Seattle, the sight of a 900 Turbo parked outside a university or design firm became almost archetypal. Owners often described the car as a partner in thought, not just a means of travel. In a world that equated luxury with flash, the 900 Turbo offered an alternative definition: luxury as thoughtfulness. The car's performance credentials, though understated, were formidable. With its 16-valve engine configuration, the 900 Turbo could deliver brisk acceleration, and its handling was balanced by a near-perfect weight distribution between front and rear. It excelled in endurance events and long-distance touring, where consistency mattered more than instant thrill. Reviewers found that while other cars might outrun the Saab in a straight line, few could match its composure after hours on the road. That composure became its trademark. There were, of course, critics. Some found its styling eccentric, its ergonomics odd, and its pricing steep for what appeared to be a modest car. But those who spent time behind the wheel tended to see what others missed. The Saab 900 Turbo's strength was that it never chased trends. It remained authentic. The 1987 model distilled that authenticity into a precise formula of intelligence, reliability, and charm. In retrospect, it represented one of the last moments when Saab's identity was fully intact, before the global automotive landscape began shifting toward conformity. What made the 900 Turbo endure was how it transformed its limitations into virtues. Its small engine encouraged efficiency. Its front-wheel drive layout promoted safety. Its unconventional design commanded loyalty rather than mass approval. These traits turned into the pillars of Saab's philosophy. The 900 Turbo proved that engineering humility could yield greatness. It didn't need to overpower the driver. It needed to partner with them. In every sense, the 1987 Saab 900 Turbo was an automotive conversation about balance. By 1987, the Saab 900 Turbo had matured into a confident expression of what the brand stood for: intelligence, individuality, and engineering discipline. In this form, the 900 Turbo was no longer an experiment. It was a refined idea. What made it particularly fascinating was how its influence extended beyond its own era. The principles it embodied, safety, efficiency, and thoughtful performance, would quietly ripple through the automotive industry for decades. The 900 Turbo was not just a product of its time. It was a predictor of the times to come. The 1987 Saab 900 Turbo's long-term impact began with its concept of controlled performance. Its turbocharging philosophy emphasized usability over spectacle, and that approach would later define a generation of forced induction engines. As fuel efficiency and emissions became global concerns, manufacturers turned to smaller turbocharged engines to balance economy with power. Saab had pioneered that mindset nearly a decade earlier. Where other automakers once mocked turbocharging as a gimmick, by the 2000s it had become mainstream. Saab's insistence on making boost civilized rather than violent proved prophetic. The 900 Turbo's intelligent boost control, with its data-driven adaptability, can even be seen as an ancestor of modern engine management systems that optimize output in real time. The same forward thinking extended to design. The Saab 900 Turbo demonstrated that aerodynamics and ergonomics could define a car's identity more powerfully than chrome or ornamentation. Its windshield angle, its curvature of glass, and its holistic cockpit layout would influence the design priorities of safety-oriented sedans well into the 1990s. Many modern cars owe their driver-centric dashboards and improved visibility to ideas Saab normalized decades earlier. Even the central ignition, long seen as an eccentric quirk, prefigured the ergonomic logic behind push-button starts and modern console-based controls. The 900 Turbo's design was a conversation starter between functionality and comfort, a conversation that never really ended. As Saab refined the 900 Turbo, it unintentionally created a template for a new kind of driver. The people drawn to it were thinkers, not thrill-seekers. They appreciated its stability, its durability, and its willingness to question conventions. In the 1980s, driving a 900 Turbo said something quietly radical about a person's values. It was an act of rebellion expressed through reason. In a market flooded with status symbols, Saab owners were content to stay in their own lane, often literally and philosophically. They saw beauty not in flash, but in integrity. That cultural identity became inseparable from the 900 Turbo's legend. When viewed from today's perspective, the 1987 Saab 900 Turbo feels like a bridge between analog and digital eras. It represented the height of mechanical purity before the arrival of heavy electronics. Yet it carried an early hint of the computational intelligence that would soon redefine automotive performance. Its engine management system, although primitive by modern standards, was a foundational moment in the marriage between software and driving feel. The 900 Turbo was proof that code and combustion could coexist to enhance, rather than diminish, the connection between driver and car. The model's legacy also rests in its approach to safety. Saab treated structural integrity as a performance metric, not a compromise. The 900 Turbo's reinforced cabin, crumple zones, and energy-absorbing steering column were years ahead of industry standards. These features became cornerstones of modern vehicle design, proving that speed and safety could live together without contradiction. Saab's crash research, informed by its aerospace background, directly shaped how the 900 Turbo was built. The result was a car that encouraged confidence through competence rather than intimidation. The influence of the 1987 Saab 900 Turbo can even be traced in how automakers market their cars today. The narrative of intelligent performance has become a common slogan across brands, but Saab was articulating that story decades earlier. Its engineers didn't design for showrooms. They designed for real life, for imperfect roads and imperfect weather. That ethos gave the 900 Turbo a sense of authenticity that modern brands still strive to capture. It is no coincidence that many contemporary vehicles attempt to balance eco-conscious technology with driver engagement. The same duality Saab perfected in its own understated way. Beyond technology and culture, the Saab 900 Turbo's endurance as a classic comes from its emotional resonance. Drivers remember it not only for what it could do, but for how it made them feel. It invited participation. It rewarded curiosity. You could hear the turbo spool up, feel the balance shift in a corner, and sense the mechanical conversation happening beneath the hood. It made every drive a reminder that machines could possess both logic and personality. Few cars have managed to sustain that duality so completely. In the collector world, the 1987 Saab 900 Turbo occupies a special niche. It is not a supercar, not a museum piece, yet it commands respect from those who understand engineering elegance. Restored examples are prized not for luxury, but for authenticity. Enthusiasts maintain them not out of nostalgia, but admiration for a car that refused to follow fashion. The 900 Turbo's cult following persists because it represents something increasingly rare: a machine designed from principle rather than marketing. In that sense, it has aged more gracefully than many of its once glamorous rivals. Saab itself may no longer build cars, but the 900 Turbo ensures its spirit lives on. The brand's departure from the industry only amplified the car's symbolic weight. It stands as a time capsule of a company that valued thoughtfulness above conformity. The 900 Turbo encapsulated the idea that innovation requires independence. That progress often begins with refusal. Even in silence, Saab's voice continues to echo through the 900's influence on modern automotive thought. Every car tells a story, but the 1987 Saab 900 Turbo tells a philosophy. It teaches that speed can coexist with safety, that design can serve reason without losing emotion, and that a car's true power lies in its ability to think with you. It reminds us that technology is most elegant when it feels human. That is why, even decades after it left the showroom floor, the 900 Turbo still feels relevant. It remains a benchmark not because it was perfect, but because it was principled. As the industry continues to chase electric efficiency, autonomous control, and digital perfection, the lessons of the Saab 900 Turbo remain instructive. Thoughtful engineering never goes out of style. Genuine purpose always outlasts trend. The 1987 Saab 900 Turbo endures as a reminder that progress is not about following the loudest voice, but about staying true to one's own logic. And logic, when given 4 wheels and a turbocharger, can be thrilling indeed. The 1987 Saab 900 Turbo stands today as one of the most distinctive chapters in automotive history. A car that proved intellect could drive innovation just as powerfully as horsepower. Its legacy is not measured in top speeds or lap times, but in influence. In the way it reshaped the idea of what performance could mean. At a time when the market celebrated excess, Saab quietly built a car that valued discipline, and that difference made it timeless. Looking back, the 900 Turbo's impact is visible across modern design and engineering. The focus on human-centered ergonomics, the balance between safety and speed, and the integration of smart turbo management all became cornerstones of contemporary automotive thinking. Many cars on the road today owe subtle debts to Saab's pioneering logic. Yet what makes the 1987 900 Turbo unforgettable is its refusal to compromise its character. It was a car that asked you to engage, to think, and to participate in the act of driving. It demanded a kind of awareness that elevated every mile into something personal. There was poetry in the 900 Turbo's precision. The way the boost built smoothly, the way the chassis communicated through the steering wheel, the way every switch felt deliberate. All of it reflected a deeper conversation between driver and engineer. Saab built the 900 Turbo not to impress a crowd, but to connect with an individual. That intimacy gave the car its soul. You didn't just drive it. You collaborated with it. Few machines have ever captured that sense of partnership so naturally. The 1987 Saab 900 Turbo also symbolizes the peak of a philosophy that has largely vanished from the industry. The belief that engineering integrity should define identity. Saab never aimed to please everyone. It aimed to please those who understood. Its uniqueness wasn't eccentricity for its own sake. It was precision guided by principle. That is why, long after production ended, the car still inspires loyalty. It represents a mindset as much as a machine. The courage to be different when conformity is easier. For enthusiasts, restoring or driving a Saab 900 Turbo today is an act of preservation. Not just of a car but of an idea. It keeps alive a chapter when innovation came from clarity, not competition. Each surviving example carries with it the fingerprints of that Swedish engineering spirit. Calm, thoughtful, quietly confident. Every start of the ignition reminds you that progress once sounded like a soft turbo spool rather than digital silence. In the larger arc of automotive evolution, the 1987 Saab 900 Turbo stands as proof that intelligence can be aspirational. It transformed technology into personality and logic into art. Even in a world of electric torque and self-driving precision, its story continues to resonate because it speaks to something deeper than mechanics. It speaks to the human desire to think differently. That is the true legacy of the 900 Turbo. Not just as a car from Sweden, but as a lasting declaration that innovation begins with curiosity and conviction. The next time you see one on the road, or perhaps in a driveway under a soft layer of dust, consider what it represents. It is not nostalgia. It is continuity. It reminds us that cars can still reflect values, that machines can still have meaning, and that reason can still be thrilling. The 1987 Saab 900 Turbo may belong to the past, but its logic belongs to the future.